Hey everybody, Victor here. So I had to take a couple of weeks off from recording. I had some final exams that were coming up that I had to study for and then take. Then I also had new classes I needed to get ahead in so I wasn't behind in them by making videos. In the middle of all that, I had Christmas, and during that time period I lost a family member to the pandemic. Meaning that I did not have the mental energy or the time to do anything with U4. Not just recording and researching guides, but even just playing the game for fun. I just didn't have that time. So I took the time for myself and made certain that I was able to come back and make quality guides for you instead of throwing things together. And now I'm back, so you guys should see me more often. And I thought of no better country to come back with than Mulhouse. The reason why is actually kind of simple. You see, I don't like making nation guides that everybody else has made. Everybody's made a France guide. Everybody's made a Milan guide. And I don't find those interesting. I don't find it interesting to focus on countries that everybody's done. I want to make a guide that nobody does, or that people have done wrong, to give you guys an easier way to get things done. And Mulhouse is absolutely a contender here. It's a country that's been around for more than a year, that has its own achievement, yet nobody on YouTube has made a guide for it. I don't know why, but they haven't. I'm assuming because most people think it's RNG based, and I've heard those complaints. But it's not. Absolutely not. This is a no RNG guide. It's a no restart guide. You don't have to keep restarting to find the optimal start or anything like that. You're fine whatever you happen to have. That said, this guide is RNG on how annoying it's going to be. There's one thing that can make it so you have to sit there for 20 years doing nothing. It's pretty rare, but I'll get to what it is in a little bit. Now, why people think this is RNG, if you look at the map, it's kind of obvious. You see, you're bordering Austria to your south, you have Provence to your west, and then you have two smaller countries to your north and east. However, both Strasbourg to your north and Baden to your east have a habit of allying France or Burgundy or Austria or Bohemia. A lot of the time, about half the time, one of them will ally one of those big powers, making it exceptionally annoying. And then I've had times where both of them allied a major power, meaning it seemed like you were bricked. You couldn't do anything. Not quite true. Now, before I get started, one last thing to point out. I understand nobody's playing Mulhouse for the sake of playing Mulhouse. Nobody comes home from work or school and goes, you know what I want to do? I want to play Mulhouse. That sounds like fun. Nobody signs up for a multiplayer game to play Mulhouse. It doesn't happen. I'm sure somebody's going to be in the comments saying, I did, but still. It just doesn't happen. So this is going to include a way later on how to make the achievement easier for you. So you're not trying to play Beat the Reformation. Because I've seen people try that and fail this achievement because they went too fast. Play slow, enjoy your time in the HRE. I know it's frustrating, but just enjoy the game and you'll have more fun. With all that said, let us begin with Mulhouse. Rivals. You have 2 slots. Strasbourg and Baden are your only options. They will start off usually rivaling each other with no other options in here, meaning they're gonna rival you. No matter what you do, they're going to both rival you, so you might as well just do it now, get it out of the way. Second, when it comes to your estates, there's a few things here I need to touch on. First things first, you have your religious diplomats. Now, you take this now for one reason, and that is because you get an opinion boost with everybody, meaning you're more likely to get allies. Very useful thing to have. But you also take it for later on. Once you become the emperor and you start forcing people to whatever religion you happen to have, this makes it so once they are your religion, they're more likely to support your reforms because you'll have a higher opinion with them. Meaning you want to have this pretty much the whole game, so just take it now and forget about it. It'll help you with your loyalty, but that's all you really need. The next thing to talk about here is right of counsel. You're taking this solely to get this above 50%. Now you're going to have to revoke this relatively soon. You see, Paradox, while I was gone, patched the game. You used to be able to take land and then start a fake war. Doesn't really matter with who. For example, I would take all of Baden, and then while I'm coring it, I would start a war with Strasbourg. Now as long as that war was continuing to be active, as long as I didn't peace out, the emperor would not ask for unlawful territory of either of these two provinces, meaning I was able to core them, meaning I was able to take land and not worry about it. Now, however, that's been patched. Meaning, if I did the same thing, if I took out Baden and then fought a war with Strasbourg, I will still get the unlawful demand, the unlawful territory demand. The only way to block it now is to be in a war against the Emperor himself. Even if you pieced out the Emperor in a separate peace treaty and took his land, and you're still at war with the main war goal leader, he'll demand unlawful territory from you. Doesn't matter if he has a truce or anything like that, he will demand it. Meaning you now have to do one of two things to expand in the HRE. You need to just simply eat the fact that you're going to have unlawful territory, which is not good. Or you need to expand through vassals. Whether it is by diplo-vassalization, forced vassalization, or full annexation, then releasing them as a vassal, does not matter. You have to expand through vassals. What I mean by that is once you get large enough, Strasbourg may simply voluntarily become your vassal. No aggressive expansion. Or you may have to force them in a peace treaty, or you need to full annex them and then spit them back out as a vassal and then annex them that way. There are some advantages to both of those two options. I'm going to go over them so you guys can make your own choice. But before I get to that point, the estates, the reason why you need to have 2 slots open is one for strong duchies, which will help you with the relation slots and their loyalty, and then the other one is for nobility integration policy. This will allow you to integrate them faster, not take the diplomatic reputation penalty, and in exchange, you are basically balancing a little bit with the reduced liberty desire from strong duchies. Meaning, you generally balance yourself back out and allows you to expand in the HRE without losing your mind. So, you need both of these policies. So you're going to have to, once you get 2 vassals, revoke right of counsel and grant both of them. Now, what I was going to explain when it comes to integrating vassals, you have 2 options. You either full annex them, spit them back out, and then reintegrate them as a vassal, or you force vassalize them and do it from there. So you're not full annexing them first. By vassalizing them and not full annexing them, their opinion with you will not be reset. So if they already had a bunch of aggressive expansion with you, it's not being reset. However, there is a penalty for everyone in the HRE whenever you full annex somebody. Meaning if I full annex Strasbourg, everybody in the HRE would lose, I believe it's about 20 opinion with me. And then when I diplomatically annex them, I lose another 20. So you're going to be ending up reducing your opinion a lot faster by full annexing people, but that is a better alternative to not have to worry about them being mad at you late game. So you need to start off by force vassalizing them, and then towards the end, or if you're unable to get them, for example, the Palatinate here, you can't full annex them because of their break here, then at that point you need to start full annexing them so you can actually do it. Now that that is all said and done, let's go back to the estates real quickly. The burghers, don't take the monopoly on textiles. This amount will go up to about 70 ducats. You just need to wait, and it's no reason to leave money on the table. And then indebted to the burghers, you're not going to be starting a war for about 5-6 years to 20 years. So take these when you actually need them. Speaking of money, turn your army off. You're not going to need it. And then lastly, I want to talk about your ruler. You see, your ruler here has 2 things that are randomly generated every game. The first one is his personality trait, scholar here. It can be good, it can be bad, it can be anything it could possibly be. It's going to be completely random. Sometimes you'll get really nice ones like this. Sometimes you'll get corruption. The other thing that's random is his age. I've seen them as young as 34 and as old as 68. Now, obviously, the younger the better because you're in a republic. The younger they are, the more you can re-elect this guy. And this guy is going to be a font of a ton of monarch power if he's young. If he is young, do not under any circumstances make this guy a general. You don't want him passing early. If he's old, such as 68, you can if you want. Doesn't really matter. You're not going to have a good general to start with, but it doesn't really matter. Just wanted to point out, do not do it if he's young because you're leaving a lot of points on the table if you make him a general, because he's likely to die early. And now let's talk about your alliances. You see, your alliances are going to largely be kind of the same every game. As you can see, no one in the world wants to be your ally. You have a couple that are relatively close, namely Switzerland and Württemberg. And these guys are almost always going to be on your list as close. Sometimes they'll be willing to ally you day one, namely when your ruler has +1 diplomatic reputation. Then they will usually ally you day one. The other options that you have that can ally you day one, I have seen one time of the 60 or so runs I've done of this, Navarra, one of Saluzzo, one of Constance, and one of Bregenz, and 3 of Switzerland. As you can see, Switzerland is close, but not quite there. Now here's the thing. Switzerland has a habit of being a rival to Austria. Whether you want to deal with that immediately is up to you. They also have a habit of being a rival to or a rival against Württemberg. In this case, I didn't have that happen, meaning I can ally both of them. How you ally them, you simply find a rival here you do not care about. I'm going to go ahead and make Ulm mad, because why not? I'll take the risk of angering the mighty Ulm, and then I'm going to find somebody here that Switzerland doesn't like. I'm going to scornfully insult them. This will make both of them happy and both of them willing to ally me. Now, I simply wait for my diplomats to come back, and I'm able to ally both of them. You're not likely to need them in terms of an offensive war immediately, because, again, you might be waiting a while. But on top of that, Switzerland, you can't really call in on any kind of offensive war until you get favors. There's nobody to promise land against. What they do, however, is prevent Strasbourg, Baden, or anybody else from seeing you as an easy target. So having those allies just to prevent somebody from jumping you is a nice thing to have. The last thing to really do before I unpause it and worry about the next thing with the diplomats is send your merchant over here, you have a free one, to transfer trade from Vienne, and have this guy set to hostile trading. This will increase your spy network construction. You're likely going to have it on this for quite a bit. The other one you need to swap back and forth for, I will tell you now, is you're going to be swapping between spy network construction, so you can get your spy networks in the area, and then establish communities to burn off that aggressive expansion. So once you get done with the fight, and you have the next spy networks done, swap it back and forth as often as you can. Just make sure you don't let it sit there for too long, not reducing your aggressive expansion, or not getting your spy networks down. So just be sure and be mindful to kind of flip back and forth as often as you can. Now that that's done, you get the diplomat back, and I'm going to spend time building a spy network against both Strasbourg and Baden. I'm going to have to let this go for a bit. Now, what the next process here is simply seeing who these guys ally. My next steps are going to depend on who they happen to ally. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the recording while I wait to see and figure out who it's going to be. I will see you guys in just a second. And welcome back. So I just got my spy networks down, and it looks like they did not ally anybody of any real importance. However, I'm going to continue forward with this as if both of them ended up allying major powers, such as France and Austria. Now, I'll explain why in a little bit, because I need to actually wait a couple of more years to show you the next steps. However, during this time, improve with Bohemia and France, especially if Bohemia is rivaled to Austria. The reason why is you are next to Austria, meaning you can manually set yourself to being threatened. By being threatened, anybody that is their rival, I'll show you here with France, gets plus 20 reasons to ally you. Bohemia, as you can tell, would be very close to allying me if they had that. I don't necessarily need it. Now with Bohemia, they will become friendly soon enough, and they will ally me at that point. France takes a little bit more effort, namely, you need to either get strong enough to encourage them to ally you, which isn't hard, or you need to wait for them to end up integrating some of their vassals to free up diplomatic relations slots, and then they will ally you if you have enough opinion with them. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and pause the recording again while I wait until Renaissance spawns, because you're waiting until Renaissance spawns. You'll see why then. I will see you in just a second. And welcome back. So as you can see, the Renaissance fired. Took me an extra year, but still wait for it. Now, as you can tell, I used my military points, and I used it to tech up. That's what you're going to be using your military points for. And of course, hiring a general, because you're going to need one. The other points you stock up. The reason why is because you're now, and this is what you do if you can't expand at all. Or, even if you do it now, set this to encourage development, and dump them into your capital. You're trying to get yourself up to 30 development. For a couple of reasons. First off, it gets you this splendor objective. Second, by getting yourself up this high, you are very, very, very close to having Renaissance simply in your capital. If you want, you can dump a few more points in here, but it's not necessarily worth it. But it will accelerate this. Once you have both this and Renaissance embraced, you'll get 5 splendor a month. By doing this, you'll be able to get this transfer subject quickly. And this allow claims bordering claims is how you get around it. Simply put, you drop a claim here on Strasbourg, and then you drop them on the Palatinate. See who their ally is. Now, again, assuming these two have strong allies. Now I'm looking at Poland and Württemberg. I cannot fight Poland. So I go north, Trier. Again, here they're just allied with Strasbourg. Meaning I can then get a claim on Trier, attack Trier, and take both them as a vassal, as well as taking Strasbourg as a vassal, and be able to expand by diplomatically annexing them, and then get more claims. Or even, before I do that, keep dropping more claims. Get Nassau that way, get Cologne that way, get Münster that way, or Hesse that way. There's a lot of the guys in the north that end up having weak allies, or very sparse ones. So simply getting yourself out of this situation by using this, which means you just save up some monarch points, wait for Renaissance, and then dev push it. That's all you effectively need to do. Now, I'm going to go ahead and start hiring up a larger army, because I'm going to be expanding here. Mess that up. Give me 1 second. There we go. Meaning I'll be able to simply take out some land, expand, and then get a bigger ally. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the recording again while I get Renaissance spawned, get myself expanding, and I'll bring you guys back when I'm at the next phase. So I'll see you guys in just a second. Oh, I almost forgot just to show you, if I now go in and grant the textiles, it is now 80 ducats. This is why you wait. Otherwise, you'd be giving up a large amount of the money, as well as, you know, if you take the loans, your loan amount went up quite a bit. I think it went from 4 to 16 now. Meaning, you'd have taken a bunch of money that you didn't need, and you'd have precluded yourself from getting cheaper loans when they were worth more. With that, I'll see you guys in just a second. And welcome back. So, I went a little bit more aggressive than normal. I went ahead and took over Baden, vassalized them, took over Strasbourg, vassalized them, and Trier, all at the same time. So they're a little disloyal at the moment, but that's fine. They're not actually going to do anything. At this point, however, once you've taken over these 3, you'll notice you have a new option for your rival. You'll be able to rival, at this point if they're still alive, Burgundy, but also Austria. Depending on who France rivals, go ahead and rival one of them. I'm going to choose Burgundy because why not? At that point, France will get even more likely to ally you because, well, you're now rival to one of their rivals. And scornfully insult, Burgundy in my case, it could be Austria in yours, to make certain they like you even more. This will hopefully get them along that path of being friendly to you. And at that point, they will end up allying you. I chose Burgundy for the simple reason that so long as I'm not a rival to Austria, if Burgundy decides to try anything with me, Austria has to defend me. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and just keep working on keeping these guys loyal or getting them back down to loyal. If you're having trouble with this, just remember, you can placate them. Every dev click you do in their territory gives them 5 less liberty desire, as you can see in that information box there. Meaning, if you need to, just dev them. That's all you really need to do. And all you're trying to do is, once you have them loyal enough to start integrating them, or once you have spent enough time so that you can start integrating them, get them loyal for a day and get it started, and just keep throwing a dev on them every so often. You'll get it done. With that, I'm going to go ahead and pause it again and wait until I get my French alliance. So I will see you guys in just a second. And now France is friendly. Once I hit 150, so I can revoke this guy, ally them, and now I'm pretty much good to go. I will say, up here, right of counsel, I forgot to revoke that, so it is what it is. I'll have to do it before I actually start integrating these guys, or it can get annoying, but it is what it is. So at this point, you just need to focus on getting these guys integrated. Just get it done, get them integrated, move on from there. As you can see, I ended up giving Württemberg Durlach here, which means if I choose to, I can then break this alliance and get that core back before I integrate Baden, which I might. However, at this point, I'm going to pause it because I need to get these guys integrated so I can actually have the space to do the next step. So I will see you guys in just a few minutes. And welcome back. So I wanted to point out that, well, you see, Aragon ended up getting Castile as a personal union, and Austria challenged it, and you can see how that went. This is probably not going to happen in your game, but once you get these three, you'll still be able to rival Austria. I just wanted to point that out because I didn't quite realize that Austria lost that bad. So just wanted to point that out before I continued. See you soon. And welcome back. So I'm ready to start integrating Trier. I got my privileges sorted by revoking that one. Looks like there we go. I'm now able to start it. And again, I had to devote some dev clicks here. So if he ever gets unloyal again, I just throw another dev click on him. Now at this point, I should have enough favors. Oh, almost. I have 8 favors. So I'm going to go ahead and pause it again because I thought I had 10. Because I am basically waiting for France to be willing to come in and help me fight Austria. Shouldn't take much. Could probably even do it just with Bohemia at this point since they lost Styria. But you guys might not have that. Looks like Hungary is also in no position to do anything. But either way, I'm going to wait until I have those things. So I will see you guys in just a second. And welcome back. So now I have France willing to go to war, as well as Bohemia. Bohemia liked Austria too much, and France was in debt, so I had to pay off their debt. But as you can tell, at this point, it's kind of overkill. But I'm now able to go after them, so I'm going to do that. And this is what you should be doing at this point too. You should be able to well outnumber them. Hungary's even going to come in, and they're not going to be able to do a whole lot. They don't have any troops right now. But it would make it, at best, a fair fight. And honestly, they're probably even going to focus on Bohemia first. Whereas France and all their vassals are going to suddenly mobilize, run over here, and knock the teeth out of Austria. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the recording, get done with this fight, which is just going to be mainly me sitting here letting it go. And I will show you guys what to do at the end of it. See you guys then. And welcome back. So, war's over. Austria obviously lost. And I wanted to point out a couple of things. First off, Siena has a habit of allying Austria, which means if you really wanted to, or if you didn't take Trier, you can now vassalize down here and open up an Italian front if you really wanted to, allowing you to start pushing your way in here or pushing your way down into the Pope, down into Naples, and build yourself a power block down here in Italy instead. That is one option for you if you really want to. However, mainly what you're aiming for, and I just wanted to point out you can take what you're going to be taking, as well as Siena, and you really wouldn't have a big coalition coming your way, especially if you simply wait for it to tick down. But, not taking Siena, so no coalition pretty much at all is going to form, because they're not going to want to fight France and Bohemia. You take these two provinces, take all the money you can, take war reps, this will help you with your economy, and there you go. Now, I'm going to be assuming this and explaining this as if Styria here didn't break. Now, once you go in here, you'll notice very quickly you have a new person you can release. Here's the nice thing about Tyrol. They skip all the free cities and go into the gold mine and into the mountain range here. And they lead right up to Styria, meaning you can then reconquer these cores and take one more over here, release Styria, integrate Tyrol, and take out this massive chunk, leaving Austria, the emperor, with 4 provinces. And that's it. And it is this easy. Pretty much every single game. Once you've taken out your 2 neighbors or a couple of other vassals, France is likely to ally you. Bohemia is likely to ally you. And between the 2 of them, you will usually be able to crack Austria. Might be a hard fight, but you should be able to manage it. And now it's simply integrating these vassals, and yes, they're going to be disloyal. Trier is almost done. They're not disloyal, so I'm going to go ahead and finish that, and then move on to the others. And you've pretty much cracked them. There's not a whole lot more Austria can do to try and fight you off, because any move further, they're just going to lose. Now, there is a risk to doing this. You are defanging the emperor, which means when people decide they want to fight into the HRE, whether that is France or Spain or Poland or England or Denmark, they're going to feel a lot less intimidated, because Austria here is suddenly going to have very few troops, especially once you've pushed them down to only 4 provinces, which means they're going to be invading constantly. What that means is you're going to have to end up pushing them out once you become emperor, because they're going to drain your imperial authority like nothing else. But I'm going to go ahead and integrate these guys. I will see you guys in just a second. And Hans died. Took him several decades. I got 26 years out of him. So, a lot of monarch generation, and even despite me dev pushing to 30, I am massively ahead of time in tech. I got 3 ideas done already. So, obviously, if you get lucky, you should not have any monarch problems. So at this point, I'm not going to continue this moving forward. I've already done this challenge myself. Now, effectively, what you're doing at this point, neuter Austria, keep pushing north, get yourself up here if at all possible so you can take out Berg and start taking on these smaller guys, including Lubeck. And that's effectively what you're doing. Once you are done with the Reformation, one of the idea groups you should take for the Reformation is Humanists. It'll help you stabilize and remain stable and not have massive rebel problems, waiting for one of the religions to end up being dominant. Because regardless of which one you choose, whoever ends up winning the war, you're going to end up needing to be. So if you choose to fight it or not, you just need to pick whoever wins the Religious League War just so you can be the emperor. Now, I'm going to go ahead and start a non-Iron Man game so I can show you the easiest way to get that imperial authority after the League War is done. So, I'm going to go ahead and set that up. I'll see you guys in just a second. And welcome back. So, non-Iron Man game, but I set everything up so there's no more electors. And just to presume, everybody here is going to be mad at you after all of this expansion. Like, coalition level want to destroy you. Meaning, you can't really make any of them an elector and secure your position. On top of that, if you look on how you actually get imperial authority, you need more members, you need more free cities, you obviously need to find electors, and you still have heretics in the empire. And you're probably going to find yourself in a very similar position. So how do you end up doing this? It's actually pretty simple. Once you're at tech level 22, you're able to do this. Specifically, simply click on a province, and you'll have these client states. Just release them as a republic. That's really it. Just make sure you separate them by at least 1 province between them. I'll explain why in a minute. Basically, you have these guys, and now they're independent. They're client states. They cost you a diplomatic relations slot. However, here's the thing. They do not have a truce with you, meaning you can break the vassalization immediately. It's going to cost you prestige, and it's going to cost you opinion with them as long as they're loyal. So you just go in here, find them, and then use the Scutich button to make them mad at you, so they will not take the opinion penalty when you break the vassalization. It only takes the prestige, meaning now they're independent. And since they're a republic, you can make them a free city, you can make them an elector, and they will not have any opinion malices with you from any aggressive expansion you did or anything else. And simply put, this will give you all the members you need in the empire. I'm going to put up all the ways you get imperial authority on the screen. However, there's a couple of things here you need to be aware of. First, there is a monument in Prague that as long as you upgrade it, you can get a substantial amount of imperial authority growth. So I recommend doing that. There's also in Ulm one that'll increase the growth that you get from free cities. So unfortunately, the mighty Ulm needs to be destroyed if you want to go that route. But this is effectively it. You simply use your time, and after you're done expanding, find places that you're not going to care about, and just drop a client state in there to use as a free city, a general member, or even an elector. And you're good. You'll be able to have enough of them to fill up any of these spots, get your imperial authority growth high enough, and you'll be generating about 0.5 a month was what I ended up getting. And yes, it causes some border gore, but it can be cleaned up later. It's not going to be difficult. So why separate them out like this so they're not bordering each other? Simply put, if you look, there is a 0.1 every month as long as there is internal peace in the empire. So nobody's fighting at all. Nobody's fighting anyone else. If they're bordering each other, they can fight each other and try and annex one another. In this regard, since you're no longer in the age of discovery, regardless of what age you're in, they can't get to each other. They won't declare a humiliation war or a rivalry war or anything like that. They'll only go for conquest. And since they can't get a claim on one another, they can't do that. They may ally other people, but even then, the Commonwealth, France, the Ottomans, whoever else is nearby is generally going to be too strong for them to get an alliance with. Meaning, nobody's really going to be fighting anybody, except for you. Meaning, so long as you're at peace, you'll be generating extra imperial authority, and you get to decide when you're at peace. Lastly, you use the other heretics in the empire, and I don't know if I actually have any more here. But effectively, you find the heretic in the empire, in this case, Ulm would be a good one. Declare on them using the nationalism CB, it didn't update yet. But you'd be able to have a CB on everybody in the empire with nationalism, and you simply force the religion there. This will allow you to quickly not only remove the heretics in the empire, but allow you to generate prestige to release even more of these little client states, making it extremely easy to not only get your imperial authority growth up to get the everything's coming up Mulhouse achievement, but also the one where you have to have free cities that are not German. And this is effectively how you do Mulhouse. You work your way up, you get your Bohemia and France allies, you take out Austria and you snipe them. While other people might expand into the empire, you'll handle that later. Or if you want to let Austria remain for a bit, you push further north. Once you have a strong enough base, you then take out Austria. And effectively then, you then start to flip over to a monarchy, while Austria is a 4-province minor. Get the electors back on your side, either by force vassalizing them, and then making them like you so they have to vote for you, or by other means. And then you eliminate Austria, making you the emperor. Making it incredibly easy for you to do whatever you want. And with that, I'll leave you guys to it. I hope you guys like this content. Like and subscribe if you do. It lets me know that this is what you guys want to be seeing. If you want to see another country or another kind of content, whether it's a specific mechanic you guys are having issue with, or a country you need help with, let me know in a comment below. I absolutely need more things to put on the list for more things to do, because, yep, I always need more ideas. But thank you all for watching. I hope you guys have a wonderful day.